All right, I swear it's going to be a quick video, like under 10 minutes. Let's see if we can do it. Even though the Raiders and Seattle game is still going on, 4 minutes left in overtime. No, no, they won. It's over. Seahawks lost. Of course they did because I bet them. Yep, somehow the Raiders win in overtime. And we can now go over NFL and we can also talk about college basketball, which will be the second half of the video. So interesting NFL day. It was the day of the 2 point conversion to win games happening all over the place. It happened, I believe, with the Chargers, and it happened against the Ravens with Jacksonville. I'm so glad I cashed out of a bet before this game was over. I had the Ravens before Jacksonville came down and scored that touchdown late, and I cashed it out. That's the beauty of the cash out. Terrible if you have to hold that ticket till the end. That is heartbreaking for the city of Baltimore. I mean, what's their standings, right? I mean, that is awful. They were ahead by like 9 points or something late in the fourth quarter, right? I fell asleep and missed a lot of that. Okay, so they were 7-3, so at least they're still probably okay, but that is nasty. That's sad. Now, Niners, I believe, won 13-0. Let me just double check. Yeah, they won. They shut them out. So they actually cover, but there's no points here. So the algorithm way over predicts on points, but they're just the Saints are just non-existent. The Jets outperform. Um, I don't know if Mike White played. I assume he played well if he did, and that resulted in points. But I don't know anything about the game or any game flow. I didn't listen or watch anything. Carolina wins. So bets that I told you to take. I said take Carolina. I don't know if I said take Washington or not. I did, and they won. I said take Cleveland because this was flipped around before, and Cleveland somehow wins. I actually like this prediction here, even though it gave it to the Bucks. It was saying almost a tie, and there's a one score at the end flip, and that's exactly what happened because I believe it went to overtime. Right? Cleveland came down and tied it up at home late. So this game flipped around. It looks like a loss, but according to the video, I said you take Cleveland yesterday. So it's like, what do you do? That's the annoyance of the data and the history. And when you update an injury report, teams flip sides, and that's what happened here. But it was only a point anyway. Cincinnati, I never talked about the game, but they do win, and the score is almost exactly as predicted. That's pretty good. Seattle blows it. That's so sad. It's so sad, and they do blow it. The Rams. So get this. Seahawks is 15 and a half. I got them plus 16 and a half, and I win on this. How about that? Like, talk about getting it at the right time. I got them plus 16 and a half. They moved even more, and I got that. So weird, 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 weird. They didn't come down and score like they needed to, but weird, right? So then the Ravens, awful, awful sadness. And then the Chargers come back to beat Arizona late. They were an underdog the whole and behind the entire game here. And there you go. You get this tie game situation basically. And there you go. The Chargers 2 point conversion at the end. And Miami runs away with it more than the algorithm said. So it's not really a bad day. And you do have four winners up top. What about the Sunday night game, which is Philly and Green Bay, right? It says 23-18. Says they maybe don't cover. It says barely don't cover the spread, but that's a tough game. It's better to concentrate on something else like basketball. All right. So that's your football. That's your football review for Sunday. So college basketball. I went and had to do something here. I was looking at the history and I realized we had some weird losses up top with the other distribution. And it means that when you're working with the college basketball file, you need to pay attention to this and change it around throughout the year and test out different percentages here. And I did that. And I found out things like adjusted defensive rating and simple rating system and even strength of schedule were all providing relevant determinant. They were statistically significant independent variables essentially for the day, meaning they helped realign this better. All right. So right now, for example, we're 35 and 13 on the day and 26 and 22 on the spread with this distribution. There was a different distribution here earlier today that would have, I believe, a slightly worse record, and it would have different underdogs as well. You can see that our underdogs are really not having a great day. 5 and 8's okay, but that's like that's not a lot of the teams we had on here before under the different distribution. We did have Maine, but we had like Yale who lost but almost won, like just different orders of things. So it wasn't a perfect day regardless, but it gets better when you mess around with this standings area here. It's important to do that, and I wanted to show everyone that you got to mess around with that and then refresh this to see what things do. Because see how we're 35 and 13. Watch this. So when you get rid of all the other stats for a second, okay, so I'm just gonna paste them below and use nothing but adjusted defensive rating. Okay, we're gonna use nothing but this. Watch what happens to just the nature of where teams go in the order of things. All of a sudden, you win the top 6 games in a row, and you get 24 and 24 on the spread. So it's a little bit even over the spread because it's omitting all offensive information. But what it is bringing in is being inclusive of what is only looking at is what the defensive rating of the team is. So when there's a large disparity between defensive ratings of the team, you can assume that one team is probably the team with the better defense in that scenario. In this case, an 18% margin difference for St. Peter's. They actually won this game by 14 points. Oklahoma State won this game by 25 points, right? I usually like Prairie View, but here, like Oklahoma State crushed it. And if you look at the defenses, that matters. So in order to realign this and get this thing working properly, you have to mess around with percentages and look at what was important and what wasn't important for the day, and then keep doing it every day. Because as you get more stats in here, the distribution changes. So, I mean, I'm tempted to bring this thing up to 35, lower strength of schedule down actually to like 15. You don't want to make it too much because we're already looking at it. It's adjusted rating was okay at 15. Let's see what that does. 34 and 14 is now 37 and 11. What I tell you, still have these losers up top. Siena somehow beats Seton Hall. James Madison somehow loses to Valpo. Unbelievable lines too, right? Crazy lines getting beat up top. That's nuts. But it happens. And in this scenario, how do our underdogs do? We don't do as good against the spread, so our scoring is not as great. Our projected scoring is not as great. How do our underdogs do? 5 and 6 here, but we don't have any real big underdogs except Tennessee Tech, which did take it to overtime. That I do know. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that's a recap of Sunday. That's kind of how you need to manipulate the college basketball algorithm because that's right, 3 days left. That is Monday the 28th, Tuesday the 29th, and Wednesday the 30th is the last day I have to do this. Cannot wait. It is a burden, but also, I mean, I enjoy the burden somewhat, all right? Like I like making this stuff better and getting it on, and then people can just tell me months from now, oh, I made your algorithm worked really well and I made money. I'm like, great, good for you. Glad, so that's that. NBA had some losses already today. Looked extremely difficult with weird injuries everywhere. Don't even want to worry about it. And hockey's going on right now. You get an exact score for this Minnesota game. Of course, I didn't bet it. That's what happened though. Said it would be 3.7 to 2.5. That rounds to 4 to 3, everybody. The other games are going on, and that is the update. So good luck, everyone. I hope you always picks one today, and may they be winning in the future.